Welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Satish, and I'm a property buyer's agent and representing BuyersHUB. BuyersHUB buy properties all over Australia, mainly for investment purposes and high cash flow properties. That's our specialty. But we still buy lots of around 13, 14 strategies. We buy properties in different states and different strategies as well. About BuyersHUB, we are licensed real estate agent and member of REIV, and we are member of biggest buyers agents group of over 4,000 buyers agents right now. When I started, it was only like 50 buyers agents. Now we have 4,000 buyers agents. We got lots of mandates like Ben Handler, Andrea Carrington, Dale Beaumont, Ian Ugarte, Dimfna Boholt. Currently, we have 6 experts working for BuyersHUB in property research, client support, and management. About myself, I have 19 years of investing experience. I spent more than $120,000 in Australia for real estate education and coaching, only in coaching fees, plus lots of time for reading all these. I haven't calculated my time, just the money which I paid for coaches and education. I purchased my first home in 2010 and paid off the mortgage in 2015. My goal is to bring 100 families to financial freedom by 2030. Educate 5,000 families using free webinars like this, and so that they will not commit investment blunders and achieve financial freedom faster. So today's agenda is what is commercial property, types of commercial properties, pros and cons of commercial, what's hot in commercial right now, where will you invest right now, and what are our current deals. So just a quick glance of what we have right now. And at the end, Q&A, I hope it will take altogether only like 30 to 40 minutes. And let's go straight into it. Disclaimer, this information is only a general purpose. We don't know what is your personal situation. So you have to check with the right parties. And this one is only for general information purposes. What is commercial property? So we know what is residential. Commercial property refers to buildings or land. Okay, land can be intended to generate a profit from either capital gain or rental income. Any property other than residential property. Okay, exceptions are retirement villages and holiday parks. Basically, residential investments are basic need for shelters, but commercial investments are basically for business activity. Types of commercial properties in broad, okay, there are so many strategies inside commercial, okay, it's just a big ocean. And we can broadly classify into 3: retail, offices, and industrial. Retail, right now, the situation is largely affected by consumer confidence. When there is sales happening, the shops, consumer sentiment is big here. So largely affected by consumer confidence, also affected by internet. Tenants with internet databases will do much better. So if you're going for a shop with a internet database will do much better. Okay. So examples of retails are goods outlets like decor shops and art galleries, consumables like groceries, cafes, liquor stores, service outlets like hairdressers, nail salons, and tattoo parlors. These are doing very well. Service outlets, hairdressers, you can't go online and cut your hair because you have to go to a person. Okay. Massage parlors, nail salons, you have to go there. So they are doing very well. That sector, retails. That sector of retail, okay? Different industries affected by COVID. Bigger retail outlets less affected by COVID. Some thrived very well. The security of a retail property is very dependent on the strength of the tenant and what they sell. So that's retail. Let's go to the next one, offices. Offices had actually a massive impact on the offices investors. Many offices closed due to work from home. CBD locations are still suffering. General feeling from company CEOs is move back to offices at the big end of town. Smaller offices happy to stay more flexible with part-time working from home. Again, the strength of tenant rules the value and yield of the property. Medical suites remain a sweet stop. Medical offices are really not affected by COVID because probably you can't postpone your health issues or maybe it is probably like dental and all. It is not affected. Okay, it is not affected at all. Offices and you can work from home, so it is definitely affected. Three main, the other one is the last one is industrial. Strong sector in all market cycles right now. Do supply analysis for the target area. Okay, so you should check older areas can be popular until newer estates open up. People still like newer ones, even though it is residential or commercial. Less vulnerable to market downturns. Okay, analyze the tenant's business viability. So what exactly they are doing, we should check. Larger distribution centers can subject to decentralization within the company. So a larger the company will think that, okay, instead of having a big, large warehouse in Melbourne, we can decentralize into like multiple places, like one in Ballarat and one up north in probably Echuca or Albury Wodonga or somewhere in like they can decentralize, and then that warehouse will become vacant, So who is going to lease that one? So bit risky in terms of larger warehouses. If you're owning a larger warehouses, both regional and metro location work very well for both yield and manufactured growth. So metro is not the only one performing well. Regional also performs well, and you can make same amount of money from there as well. Types of commercial properties in hospitality: hotels, motels, bars, restaurants, cafes, sports venues, truck shops. So when we know about commercial properties, we first think about the shops, offices, and warehouses, but there's much more to that. Okay, truck shops, movie theaters, nightclubs, retail, lots of retails. You probably know office buildings and service office also. It's very hot nowadays. It's pretty good. Health cares, medical centers, hospitals, aged care centers, clinics. Residential, rooming houses, hostels, NDIS are also, they are not actually, people are living there. That means it's a residential, but when you go for loan, you don't get a loan. So you have to take a commercial loan. Okay. So in broader terms, you can kind of classify it as a commercial as well. Industrial, factories, warehouses, workshops, repair shops, hard stand. Hard stand is something which just a land, okay, for trucks to park or their JCBs to park, sort of, just a place for parking, and or maybe you can concrete it, or you can, without concreting, just on top of the land they will park, and you can still get a rent. That's also a good business. No other expenses, right? Other than the land tax and probably the rates. Agricultural farms, fields, orchards are all making money. Pig farms are all into commercial as well. So why invest in commercial? Okay, see, this is generalization. Okay, this is probably a wrong thing as well. Residential potential for capital growth and commercial is higher yields. Something which what BuyersHUB does all the time is bit of mix of everything. Okay, right now we don't have higher cash flow properties or positive cash flow properties, but we have neutral cash flow properties with similar growth, as Melbourne and Sydney. So that's our specialization. So if you want definitely higher yields and less risk, probably residential with higher yield is probably the way to go. Pros and cons of commercial property. Commercial properties are really good, but it has lots of advantages. Also, it has lots of disadvantages. So higher returns, of course. Yields are more than who is AJ, by the way? Is it can I know, is it let me know, because there was Amit supposed to join. Is it Amit? Yeah, it must be Amit Joshi. Okay. So Amit Joshi is a mortgage broker, specialized in commercial mortgages as well. So we have Amit here. Thanks, Amit, for joining. So higher returns, yields are more than residential properties in capital cities, 4% to 10%. We can control rent increases, because most of the time, when we have a lease agreement for this commercial tenant, we have the next years and then the year after, everything is specified, like 3% every year annual increase, or subject to the CPI, depends upon the inflation. You can tell that. So we can control the rent increases for the next 5 years, depends upon the lease length. Okay, longer lease periods, mostly 3 to 5 years, 5 plus 5 plus but 5 years is pretty common. We locked in growth, because growth is purely depends upon the capital growth is not like residential. Capital growth is purely depends upon what the rental returns are, okay, or the net returns are. So if the rent is increasing, growth is also increasing automatically. Lower or nil outgoings. Compared to residential, you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay the rates, you have to pay all the outgoings, it's minor maintenance. Here, everything is paid by the tenant. So we don't need to pay. Whatever we are getting is probably the net for us. The money, whatever we are getting, 5%, whatever we are getting. On top of that, we don't need to pay too much of money. Maybe not as big as residential. Easier to finance. I'll tell you why easier to finance. Because again, if you have a very good tenant, okay, if you get a very good tenant and a good lease for 5 years, showing that lease to a financier, that they will give you loan because of that safety net, 5-year lease, good rent. Then just because you don't need any other money, now residential properties, you need to have like 20%, and you need to have serviceability. They don't care about these sort of things if you have a good tenant there. So easy to finance sometimes, okay? Sometimes, most of the times it's very difficult. If you have a very good tenant, very good lease in place, then easy to finance. Lower maintenance, which means for a small thing, they don't call you. They don't have time for that. They will call themselves, and they'll a restaurant running or a medical or a dental. Someone is running a dental clinic. Jeans here got lots of dental clinics. So small things, they will not call landlord. They don't have time for that, or they don't want to give any difficulty for their clients or their patients. So lower maintenance. Less competition. Less competition means there is not much of like houses. You can see the same street, probably like hundreds or the same suburb, thousands of properties for sale. But here you don't see much. Ability to pass off more expenses to tenants. It's all depends upon the lease agreement. You can do so many things in the lease agreement. Lease agreement is normally customized too much for commercial. So you can pass on so many things to the tenants. Flexible uses like adding on mezzanine levels, different layout can increase rent. So when you buy a property with just a warehouse and there is no mezzanine, probably adding a mezzanine can increase the size of the whole warehouse, and that can add value. And that can add increase rent as well. Increasing rent means increasing the capital growth as well. So there are so many, just like residential, we can do so many strategies here: renovation strategies, subdivision strategies, making strata into multiple units. So very easy to make money here in terms of manufactured growth. Easy to negotiate because there are not many buyers to buy a commercial property. So easier to negotiate, and you can negotiate big as well, very big. Longer lease terms of 3 years, 5 years, 15 years to 25 years with option terms. So I'll tell you what exactly is option terms. When someone says you have 15 years of lease, mostly in your control, it's only like 5 plus 5 plus. They'll say 5 times 5 times 5 means first 5 is the only one which is guaranteed. The other one is on the mercy of the tenant. Tenant, if they want to leave, they can leave. So it's good for them, not good for us, means like landlords. Okay, I'm a buyer's agent for the landlord, so I should tell in terms of as a landlord. So as a landlord, 5 plus 5 plus 5 means 5 plus. It's you can say that it's a 15 years lease, but it's not actually 15 years. It's only 5 years lease. And they can leave after 5 years. If they want, they can stay as well. So repeated tenancy can increase the value of property. Okay, this is also very good. So if you get a good tenant, that can increase good value for the property. Not much wear and tear costs borne by. So once, see, value addition is done by tenants for business. So when I have a place and someone is coming, as a restaurant is coming, he has to put all the things, whatever is necessary for that restaurant. So we don't need to do it. We just give the basic, a blank canvas for them, and they will do the rest of the things. And by default, in the contract, it says when you leave, you have to give us a blank canvas again. So they have to take all the stuff back. So not much of validations has to be done by the tenant, and not much wear and tear cost borne by landlord. So after them leaving, they probably have to give a blank canvas again. And tenants can be locked out, vacated on breach after notices. For example, a residential house, I know a guy in Hoppers Crossing, their house actually, they are not even paying rent. Also, they are not leaving the house. They are going to weekend every time when this guy is asking for rent. So he's frustrated with that. And whenever you go to weekend always will support the people, with humanitarian purposes. Can you give 2 more months? Can you give 5 more months? If that guy will come and say, oh, I have this problem, I have that problem, I will definitely pay next month. Then they'll say, okay, I'll give you, the court will say, okay, we'll give you 2 more months for you. So it happens always like that. But here you can lock out the tenant very easily, because here we are here for making money. They are also here for making money. So we can lock out them very easily. Break lease cost also should be borne by tenant. So it's a bit brutal if you are on the business side, bit brutal in so many cases. But that is what we are all here for, making money. So commercially is probably much easier to handle as well, because all are here for making money. Tenants, directors guarantee and security bond in form of a bank guarantee reduces monetary losses for landlords. So there is a directors guarantee as well as security bond. These are the prawns, okay, for commercial property. There is some cons as well, disadvantages. Longer untenanted periods, which is very common, okay. Sometimes if it is not a warehouse, probably warehouse is probably very low vacancy rate, but retails, especially in cities, retails are very a longer period. It'll take 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe 1 year to get a tenant. If larger warehouses, okay, not all warehouses, larger warehouses might have a big because, okay, for example, masters, okay, like Bunnings, we had masters, right, earlier, warehouses. Masters, when they finished, when they decided to leave, such a big warehouses, who is going to take that one, as a warehouse? So that probably will leave the, as vacant for maybe 12 months to 15 months to 2 years, unless until a tenant like Decathlon comes and say, okay, I like this one, let me take this. So smaller ones are actually much easier to handle and less risk. So longer untenanted periods, okay, and most vulnerable to economic conditions. If I have a house and a warehouse or a retail shop, if I had any problems or economic conditions are not great, I will sell my business or my commercial property rather than my house. So it's more vulnerable to economic conditions. When there is recession, there will be more issues here. Can be lower capital gains. Sometimes there is no or less capital gains. Value depends upon this. All we can't really, with lots of data, we can control lots of things here. Especially if you know lots of strategies, you can really make money. Value depends on the tenant and business. More skill required. More skill required for understand the business risk of the tenant. Okay, so every business is different. Something which we know, probably Indian shop or restaurants or something which we can understand something, but if it is a medical clinic and something which is not dental or something else, we don't know what exactly they are doing. Also, many other businesses, okay, there are thousands of types of business. We don't know what's their business model, and you don't know what is the risk for that. So it's a bit more skill required, and due diligence is much more. Lower LVR. Normally, banks won't give 90% loan or 80% loan. Sometimes maybe 60%, 70% loan. So you have to have 40% from your pocket. Higher interest rates, they always give extra 0.5% to 2% extra just because it's a commercial property. Slower buying process, bit of due diligence. May need to entice a new tenant with the sweetness extra, like rent free for 3-4 months. This is very common. It's very common because they can still put a bigger rent in the contract. And vacancy periods may be depending on the property. Example, offices, all the medical setup. Periods may be higher depending on the property. Okay. Lower loan, we discussed that, lower ratio. Higher interest rates usually point, that's also we discussed. Economic risk is business loss, liquidation, market condition, etc. Okay, the next one. So what's hot right now in commercial? Warehouses going big, very hot. Modern medical clinics are very, very hot. New under construction projects, especially warehouses. Again, warehouses are very good. Businesses high. What is good? Hot in leasing market, manufacturing, packaging, importers, groceries, food takeaways, restaurants. This comes very fast and they close very fast as well. So hair, nail, beauty salons are doing really well. Medical, cosmetology is very big now. Skin, dental, physiotherapy, NDS and care services, real estate, mortgage, conveyances, automobiles, cleaning, solar, and electronics. Okay, so that's the end of the. So I'll show you some. That's the end of the. We'll go for Q&A. Before that, I want to show you this one. Where to buy? Okay, this is where to buy right now. A commercial property. Okay. Looking at this place, looking at this, this is a property clock from Heron, Toad, White, okay? And they say this is the peak of market. Dubbo and Port Macquarie is not a great place to buy now. This is already declining. Newcastle is declining. Townsville is declining. Adelaide is declining. Echuca, Sydney is declining. And we are talking about offices, okay? We are talking about offices, not the whole commercial offices. Brisbane is declining, Geelong is declining, and Melbourne is already in the bottom of the market, okay? So where can we invest right now, okay? Canberra is okay. Central Coast, Mildura is okay. Ballarat, Ballarat is okay. It's rising market. This cannot be, you can't believe this 100, but Ballarat is rising according to them, which is a good news for Ballarat guys. Emerald, Gladstone, Mackay, and Rockhampton is also fine, okay? Bundaberg is fine, Cairns is fine. Most of them are, except Ballarat, most of them are actually Queensland. Cairns, Bundaberg, Fraser Coast, Gold Coast are approaching market. So these are the safe bets, probably Ballarat, Emerald, Gladstone, Mackay, and Rockhampton for any offices, okay? If you look at something in detail, okay, capital city property market indicators for office, rental vacancy situation, Melbourne is actually increasing, okay? Rental rate trend is stable. Here it is, Sydney is declining. Brisbane is increasing, rental rate, okay, is increasing. Everywhere else is stable. Brisbane is the only place rental rate is increasing. Rental vacancy trend is tightening, which is also good for Brisbane, okay? Volume of property sales, declining significantly here. Only place is steady is Perth. Darwin is also steady. Stage of property cycle, we saw that already, declining. Bottom of market approaching bottom market, declining. Bottom market starting to decline. Bottom market start of recovery. So Canberra is the only place showing as start of recovery. Local economic situation, contraction, flat, steady growth, contraction, flat. Value difference between quality properties with national tenants and comparable properties with local tenants, significant. And Perth is large. So rental vacancy trend you can see here. Brisbane is steady. Everywhere else is increasing. Okay, so if you look at East Coast and country New South Wales, let's look at Victoria and Tasmania, okay? So Illawarra, Ballarat is here. Echuca is here. Melbourne is here. Geelong, Mildura. Hobart and Launceston is in Tasmania. Rental vacancy situation, Ballarat is balanced market. Rental vacancy trend is tightening. Rental rate trend is increasing. Volume of property sales is increasing. Stage of property cycle is rising market. Local economic situation is steady growth, small. Okay, so that's good for Ballarat and Echuca, steady. So that's that. We have so there are a few things which I want to tell you here. You can buy, of course, real estate, commercial real estate like warehouses or offices or anything like that. You can buy anywhere in Australia. So this is one right now we have tenanted at $43,000 plus GST, PA per annum, and all outgoings. Okay, they will pay. We don't need to do anything. So with 43,000 and asking price is $700,000 to $750,000. Tenant was there for almost 14 years now. 6% net returns if buying at 725. Isn't it good for Melbourne? Melbourne, if he's going for any other house, it will be like 3%, 3.5%. So so that's one property you can buy. Otherwise, you know, what BuyersHUB always do is residential. If you don't know what exactly is this warehouse and how long they will stay there, then we have houses like this, you know, with high yield. Bit higher risk. This is a bit higher risk areas, but for me, I have property in this area as well. So even though it is risky, I know it is going to grow. So there are properties like that as well. 300,000, 560. Some of them are risky, some of them are not risky places, which we can help you. If you want to have low risk residential properties with higher rental, also we can. These are some of the past purchases: 600K and 775 per week, 650 and 800 per week, 420 and 565 per week, 445 and 550 per week, 650 and 820 per week, like that, 610 and 950 per week. So these are the properties we have right now. Okay, right now, as well as our success stories. So one action you can take right now is you can book a meeting with us BuyersHUB.com/calendar and talk to us or what exactly you are looking for. If you learn something new, please write a review for us, please, saying that like a great webinar or something like that, please. Thank you.